To complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. Re-electionists and former lawmakers headline the fourth day of filing of Certificate of Candidacy at the main office of the Commission on Elections or COMELEC. Among those who filed their candidacy is former Senator and DILG Secretary Mar Rojas, who is making a political comeback after a 2-year break. Rojas, who ran for president in 2016 election, says he will focus on programs and projects intended to help the poor.
Nakita ko na maraming hirap pa rin, no? At may mga solusyon naman na mukhang hindi napag-uusapan man lang. So kung makakatulong tayo, bakit hindi?
Liberal Party bets re-electionist Senator Aquino, Law Dean Jose Manuel Chel Diokno, and former Quezon Representative Lorenzo Erin Tañada also filed their certificates of candidacy, all promising to improve the lives and fight for the rights of the Filipino people.
For the past 5 years, nakatutuko pa po kami sa pangangailangan ng pamilyang Pilipino. Kung ang kailangan po ng pamilyang Pilipino edukasyon, tinulak po namin yung libreng tuition.
Kung hindi po natin maayos ang ating sistema ng katarungan, hindi tayo uunlad.
Paano natin lulutasin ang kahirapan? Unang-una, kailangan may trabaho.
Congresswoman Pia Cayetano also wants a comeback in the Senate, as well as former Senator Jinggoy Estrada and 94-year-old veteran and former Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile. Ilocos Norte Governor Amy Marcos, meanwhile, is confident that the potential rise in anti-Marcos sentiments during the campaign period will not hinder her from running, and if given the chance, in pushing her advocacy in the Senate.
Sa palagay ko, ang ating bansa ay handang-handa na makarinig ng iba pang isipan at marinig rin ang aming side of the story.
President Rodrigo Duterte assures the public that no government funds will be used for the political activities of the administration bets. Duterte says not even his trusted aide Christopher Bongo, whom he accompanied when filing for his senatorial bid on Monday, will be allowed to use public funds for campaigning.
And I will announce to the country now that we make a pledge. There will be an election, and it will be an honest one. Nobody can use government resources, not even Bong. I will not allow. Yes, if run, I can invite him, but he should not. Of course, I will campaign for my candidates. Wala pa naman akong slate.
Duterte also vows for an honest 2019 midterm elections as he called on the military and police not to indulge in partisan politics.
And let us make a deal here, promise. We make a commitment to the Filipino people. This election, strictly neutral tayong lahat. The armed forces, the police, and the uniformed personnel of government, I am asking you not to indulge in partisan politics.
The Commission on Elections urges those who would file their candidacy for the next year's polls to observe the four-companion-only rule. This is following the violation of the rule of Special Assistant to the President, Christopher Bongo, when he filed his COC Monday with dozens of supporters, including President Rodrigo Duterte and his security details and several cabinet secretaries. Under COMELEC rules, each senatorial candidate may only bring 4 supporters when he or she submits election documents.
The COMELEC is not happy about it. Honestly, we are not prepared. We had to do what is best under the circumstances, which is to just allow the filing of candidate Bongo, go through the process as normal as possible, and accommodate everyone who is already with the President.
COMELEC also says that no extension will be given to the deadline for the filing of COC on Wednesday. In other news, the Department of Agriculture temporarily bans the importation of chicken from California, USA, following reports on the spread of the Newcastle disease among poultry farms in Southern California. Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol says he also ordered for the culling of hundreds of game fowl from California that were seized at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport, as these may be carriers of the said avian virus.
Ang ginawa ko ngayon, I issued another order, a new order, banning altogether the shipment of chicken coming from California, shipped through either San Francisco or Los Angeles. And that will stay until such time that USDA has issued a clearance na wala ng NCD outbreak sa California.
The shipment of game fowl that arrived on October 10 was seized for lack of health certificate and endorsement papers from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. However, according to a source, the first shipment of game fowl that arrived on October 9 was released despite its accompanying illegal documents. According to Piñol, he immediately ordered the seizure when he learned of the transaction, though he admitted that he knows the importer or broker of the game fowl. The DA is now preparing the necessary legal action to take against the importer or broker.
Cannot be perfect all the time, but hindi ako maaring mabigay ng pabor sa isang kaibigan. Maski mali, meron akong mas malaking responsibilidad. Meron akong responsibilidad sa mga kaibigan ko, pero mas malaking responsibilidad ko sa taong bayan.
A group of bakers assure they will not increase their bread prices this year amid soaring inflation. According to the Filipino-Chinese Bakery Association, they have decided not to hike prices in response to the appeal of the Department of Trade and Industry to maintain the price of Pinoy Tasty at 35 pesos and Pinoy Pandesal at 21 pesos.
There was no price changes in the world market, but the price varies depending on the exchange rate. So right now it's pretty much stable, and somehow it even went down. No?
However, the group cannot promise not to increase the price of branded pastry despite the low price of flour, citing the spiking prices of sugar and fuel. The Department of Trade and Industry, meanwhile, tells bakers that hiking bread prices is not timely.
Baka in-anticipate kasi nila nagagalaw ang flour, pero nagsabi naman sa DTI kay Secretary Lopez mismo na i-maintain nila as much as they can ang presyo.
Meanwhile, Senator Laila de Lima wants Judge Lorna Navarro Domingo to inhibit from her drug cases lodged at the Muntinlupa Regional Trial Court Branch 206. In a filed motion, the detained senator accuses Navarro Domingo of displaying manifest bias, partiality, and even hostility towards her through her previous rulings. De Lima also accuses Domingo of premature ruling on her motion to disqualify all 13 prosecution witnesses who are convicted criminals and have questionable credibility. This is despite the 5-day deadline given to De Lima's camp to file their reply to the prosecution's opposition to her motion. Due to her motion, the court deferred again the hearing on De Lima's case to November 6.
Kaya na sinabi ko kanina sa inyo na yung right to a fair trial, yan ang primordial na karapatan ng isang akusado. Ngayon, hindi na namin nakikita kay judge kasi na magkakaroon ng patas na trial. Nakikita namin sa mga galaw niya na parang meron na siyang bias against sa our client, at hindi namin pwede ito mapalagpas. Kasi sa dami-dami ng mga nakita namin na mga circumstances, sabi ko nga parang kasalanan na namin kapag hindi pa kami nagpa-inhibit.
And for the news abroad, here's Kath Dumaraos live from Bangkok, Thailand. Kath, good evening.
Good evening, William. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is to meet Saudi King Salman amid growing controversy over the fate of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Beverly Saison tells us why.
President Donald Trump has sent Secretary of State Mike Pompeo to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to meet with King Salman amid the mounting issue on the disappearance of Saudi journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Pompeo will later visit Turkey, where Khashoggi was last seen at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul 2 weeks ago. Turkish officials believe Mr. Khashoggi was murdered by Saudi agents, but Riyadh has always strongly denied this. On Monday, President Donald Trump suggested rogue killers could be behind Khashoggi's disappearance. The president provided no evidence to back his comment, but said that during a phone call that Saudi king had firmly denied knowing what had happened to Khashoggi.
The king firmly denied any knowledge of it. He didn't really know. Maybe, I don't want to get into his mind, but it sounded to me like maybe these could have been rogue killers. Who knows? We're going to try getting to the bottom of it very soon, but his was a flat denial.
Early on Tuesday, Turkish police left the Saudi consulate where Khashoggi was last seen after an overnight search. It was the first time they had been allowed to enter the building since the journalist's disappearance, following disagreements between the two sides over the terms of any search. Citing two unidentified sources, CNN said on Monday that Saudi Arabia is preparing a report that would acknowledge Khashoggi was killed as the result of an interrogation that went wrong. The Saudi government could not be reached immediately for comment on the report.
I heard that report, but nobody knows if it's an official report.
Khashoggi, a U.S. resident, Washington Post columnist and leading critic of the powerful Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, vanished after entering the Saudi consulate in Istanbul 2 weeks ago to get marriage documents. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue, USA.
Australia will consider recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital and moving its embassy there from Tel Aviv. Prime Minister Scott Morrison says that if acted upon, the move would follow a recent policy shift by the United States that has drawn criticism internationally. Morrison says Australia remained committed to a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The status of Jerusalem is one of the most contested issues between Israel and the Palestinians. Political opponents, meanwhile, calls Morrison's comments a deceitful ploy for votes ahead of a crucial by-election. A co-organizer of the September 11 attacks in the United States has been deported to Morocco after his release from a German jail. Meanwhile, thousands of migrants from Honduras marching together on foot have entered Guatemala on their way to the U.S. Jovic Burmas tells us why.
In Germany, Munir El-Motassadegh, a friend of the September 11 hijackers who was sentenced to 15 years in a German prison in 2007 for being an accessory to mass murder, was deported to his native Morocco on Monday. Motassadegh was seen being led from one police helicopter to another at Hamburg airport, blindfolded and shackled. Motassadegh, a member of a group of radical Arab students in Hamburg who helped organize the 2001 attacks, is one of only 2 men convicted of involvement in the plot, which resulted in the death of nearly 3,000 people in the U.S. It was the maximum sentence and in line with the demands of the Federal Prosecutor's Office. In Honduras, some 3,000 Hondurans marching together on foot with the intention of arriving to the United States began entering Guatemala on Monday as they fled the violence and poverty of their homeland. The so-called migrant caravan is made up of entire Honduran families, women carrying their infants, children, youth, and adults. The caravan set off just days after U.S. Vice President Mike Pence called on Central America to stop mass migration. Last week, Pence told Central American countries that the United States was willing to help with economic development and investment if they did more to tackle mass migration, corruption, and gang violence. And in USA, Paul Allen, who co-founded Microsoft, has died aged 65 from complications of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. He had revealed the disease's return only 2 weeks ago, after previously being treated for it in 2009. He had said he and his doctors were optimistic about treatment. The businessman made his fortune alongside school friend Bill Gates after they co-founded technology giant Microsoft in 1975. He left the company in 1983 following his first diagnosis of the blood cancer Hodgkin's disease, but recovered to become a successful venture capitalist with his media and communications investment firm Vulcan that he set up in 1986. Jovic Bermas, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Kath Dumaraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. A lunar meteorite, which is said to be the largest to be discovered on Earth, is up for auction this week. According to a meteorite aficionado, the said moon rock is a thing of rare beauty. Leslie Langboen tells us why.
A Boston auction house is offering what it says is the largest chunk of moon rock ever put up for auction, a rare lunar meteorite that was discovered in Northwest Africa. The meteorite comes in 6 pieces that fit together, weighing a total of about 12 pounds or 5 kilograms, and has a sale estimate of $500,000 in the sale closing October 18.
It is one of the larger lunar meteorites ever found, and there's never been one like this. We call it a lunar puzzle.
Although the pieces closely resemble regular brownish-black earth rocks to the untrained eye, Notkin says it was a thing of rare beauty to a meteorite aficionado such as himself. Some pieces of moon rock have made their way back to Earth in the care of Apollo astronauts. The rest were blasted off the moon's surface by meteorite impacts, typically hundreds or thousands of years ago, blazing through Earth's atmosphere as a shooting star. Most likely disappeared into the planet's oceans, but a few hundred confirmed examples of lunar meteorites have been found in recent decades on land, many in Antarctica or the deserts of Northwest Africa. Leslie Langboen, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news, October 16, 2018. On behalf of Rheena, Villamor-Camara, and Angelo Castro III, I am William Thio. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.